Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's ClaritySoft training webinar. Today is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. It's our last webinar of the year. I am Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at ClaritySoft. And today we're covering an appropriate topic on end-of-year reporting. We will be looking at, first of all, our main goal is to demonstrate different ideas for how to create end-of-year reports. I'm sure all of you at some point or another get asked, well, how many new leads came in? How many new accounts did we create? How many opportunities did we win, grouped by the sales rep with the total amounts and how much they brought in? How much sales did we bring in? How many quotes did we send? How many were accepted? So there's all those kinds of questions at the end of the year where you're trying to figure out, how you did overall as a company. And a lot of that information, it's probably going to come from your accounting system. But at the same time, a lot of it can come from ClaritySoft, depending on what you're tracking in the database. And so today we're just going to look at some different types of reports that you can create and give you some ideas on how you can go in and set up these reports. And we're going to, first of all, learn a technique where you're going to review the data in the module where you want to do the report, so that before you actually create the report, you know what data you should be getting out of it by creating your filters or your views, okay? And then we will look at three types of reporting in ClaritySoft. The reports module, which is by far the easiest to set up. It's also the one that will be not simplistic, but the most basic, I suppose, in the kinds of results you can get. Then we'll look at dashboards, which basically mean charts, and how to create a chart in ClaritySoft to show the data that you want to do. And then we'll take a look at Excel reports. And Excel reports in ClaritySoft give you a tremendous amount of power, because in an Excel report, you are able to combine data from multiple modules. And then you can display that data in the form of pivot charts, pivot tables, or you can create, formulas that will combine the data across the multiple modules into a spreadsheet. So the Excel reports, you're really only limited by your own Excel skills. So if you're a super duper Excel user, you'll probably really latch onto these, or you may have someone on your team that is very excellent at Excel. And once they learn the basics, they can really take off. So that's what we're going to do today. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to get to my ClaritySoft here. The first report that we're going to do is in the reports module. And what we're going to do, we want to know how many new leads did we bring in this year, grouped by the salesperson or the owner, okay? Now, if you're not using the leads module, you could do this in the accounts module, where you search for all the created accounts for the year. But we're going to use the leads module. But you can translate it anywhere else you want to go in the database. So the first thing is, what I like to do, and especially because I'm working in a demo database where the data is a little bit squirrely because it isn't actually kept up on a day-to-day basis, I like to test what I'm going to pull out in the module itself so that I can see what data I'm going to get, how many records, all of that. And before I do that, I also like to set up the columns in my list view for what I want to search on. So what I want to do here is I want to pull out by the creation date and all the new leads that were created in 2021 from January 1st to December 31st, 2021. And then that's really all I want. Now, I also could pull out, if I wanted to, into this same report, I might want to see not only who the owner is, but I might want to see what industry type and perhaps what territory or any other custom field you might have in here. I also may want to see in the report how many of those leads that we created during 2021 were actually converted to, move forward with a potential sales opportunity. So you want to think about what are all the data columns I want to pull in, and I like to pull those in here because I can see that my industry type isn't really filled in very well. So I may want to go back to my team and say, hey, please go in and make sure for all your lead records, you have completed this industry type field, because I want to pull it into a report and maybe base the grouping of the report on industry type rather than owner, to see how many leads we brought in per industry type. What's our strongest industry? What's our strongest territory, et cetera. So you want to look for completeness of data. This is the time of the year to sort of lean on everybody to make sure that your data is as complete and accurate as possible. So what I'm doing here, I want to create, I'm looking at all leads, and I want to create a filter that shows me all the leads created in 2021. I'm going to go to my Spyglass button, choose Advanced Search. And in this case, I would like to go to my Time Filter tab, and I'm going to select Creation Date. Now, normally, what I would tell you here is to click in the year to date. And that works fine until we get to January 1st of 2022. Then all of the 2021 ones fall off and you won't see them anymore. So that doesn't work. So what we want to do instead for all the year-end reports that we're doing today, we want to actually lock in a date range. Most of the time I tell you not to lock in a date range, but in this case, you do want to lock in a date range, because if you run this report on January 5th or 15th or whenever, you will go back and be looking only at 2021, and that's what you want, okay? So here I click, and because I'm a bad typist, I'm just going to click backwards here to get to January 1 and then December 31st. So I am logging in this range of dates. That's the only criteria that I want. I'm not looking for anything else at this point in time. So I click search, and now I see I have 29 records that were created during 2021, okay? So I can see them all. And you can see that a whole bunch of them were created on the 17th of December because that last week. But you would assume that they would be created throughout the whole year. And if you want to, these are currently sorted by company. You can click on the creation date, and then you can see in sequence when they were created throughout the year. So one click will do forward, another click will do in reverse. So you can check it. So it's just a good idea to check. And then you can kind of look here and see, well, for 2021, most of the data was filled in here, so they don't have too much cleanup to do. I know what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get 29 records, okay? So let's go create the report. We're going to go to the reports module. And in the reports module, you have some different folders that are already created here that have built-in reports that come standard with ClaritySoft. And you can either create a report, say for leads, and save it in the leads folder, or you have the option to create your own folder and place it in there. Or you could create a special folder called year-end reports, and then every year you put your year-end reports in that particular folder. So you are able to do that. If you want to create a new folder, then you click up here and go to folder, give it a name, and save it. Okay. I don't need one. So I'm just going to click on New Report. The first step in your report is to select what module you want to connect the report to. And in the reports module, you may connect to only one module. So in this case, I want to connect to leads. And then you simply click save. That doesn't ask for a name right now. It just connects it. Then you get the different steps that you're going to go through here by going across these tabs. The first is to decide what type of report you want. A tabular report will simply be a list of the data columns that you choose with a list and sorted, okay? A summary report will group by whatever field you've told it to group by. In this case, what we want to do is we want to group our new leads or all the leads we brought in by the owner, by the sales rep who brought them in, okay? Or I could group them by the industry type, or I could group them by the territory, or whatever other field you have in your module that you'd want to group by, product interests, whatever, okay? And then the time-based report is similar to a summary report, but instead of grouping by a category, you're grouping by a date. And we're going to do one of these as well. So we're going to do a summary report. Your next step is to select the data columns that you want in the report. And so what I want are, I want the owner, and I want the company, and I want the creation date, and I want the status of the lead because I want to see, is this a brand new lead that they never did anything with? Is it a working lead, or is it a converted lead or a closed lead? And then there's also, we have a field in the leads module called conversion date, that when you do convert the lead, it will put the date in that it was converted. So between the creation date and the conversion date, you can see how much of a time span there was. So that can be helpful. And then I'm also going to pull in the territory just for the heck of it. And that's a custom field. So that's down at the lower part of the list. All right. And then over here, I can click on a field and move these up or down. For example, I might want to move that up. I might want to move this above the 2. Okay. So you get your columns. If you're going to group, whatever column you're going to group by should be at the top of the list because of the way it will do the grouping. Then you click on the Group Columns tab and you tell it what column to group by. So I'm grouping by the owner. And then you can say in ascending order, A to Z or Z to A. It's going to look at the first name of the sales rep and put it in that order. So it probably doesn't matter which way. Then here for summary, if we had a numeric field, it would put the name of the field here and let us choose, well, do you want to get a sum per group, an average, a minimum, or a maximum per group? We're just going to say we want the total number of records. So it would tell us per owner how many records that person brought in, okay? And then the summary of columns, this is for a grand total at the bottom. Again, we don't have a numeric field, so that does not do us any good. Filter criteria. We have the time-based filter and the standard filter, and this is we're going to do exactly what we did in our leads module. All we want is creation date from, and you can type the date in if you want. So we're locking in our date range again. We're not putting any other filter on. So this is exactly what we just did in the leads module. Then we come down and we click Save, and we're going to give it a name. Okay. And we'll maybe put in the word new. Okay. Then here you choose what folder. So if you created a new folder, it will be in this list, and you can see my Susan reports. I can put it in that folder. So now I'm back to my reports module. And just so you know, any custom folders you create will be at the bottom of the list. So just always scroll down towards the bottom. And then here, your new report will also be at the bottom of that list or that group. So here's my report. All I need to do is click on it to see a preview. So this shows me a preview of it. I can see, yep, it's grouping by my salespeople. That looks good. And then I can come up here to the download button, and I can download to Excel, to a CSV or a PDF file. I'm going to go to Excel. And get my Zoom thing out of the way. So here is my report. The title that I put in, the name of the report becomes the title. And then I have my salespeople listed in alphabetical order by the first name, as I said. And per group, it tells you how many new lead records are in that group. So we can see the name of the company, the status. So Bill brought in 8 leads, but almost all of them are new. Yep, they were all created on 17th. One was converted, one is still working. And then you can see the conversion date. Okay, the same day it came in, he converted it, and then what territory. So it gives you the information that you have. And at the bottom of the report, you have the grand total of records was 29. So it's simple, okay, very simple. You cannot put calculations into it, you know, to build into the template, but you get these kind of grouping totals and that's it. If you wanted calculations, you'd have to build them in here, but then every time you run the report, you'd have to rebuild the calculations, okay? But if you need a quick and easy report, the reports module is very easy to use. Once you've walked through a couple of them, they're quick and easy, okay? So that is a report. And again, you can go to any module and simply just build what you want, decide what you want. Let's do one more here because I want to show you one grouped by month using the date grouping. So I'm going to go to the sales module. And let's say what I want to find now in the sales module are all my sales for January 1 to December 31, 2021. And when I run the report, I want them grouped by the month, not by the salesperson, but by the month. So let's do that. So again, I put my columns, what I want to see. In my case, I'm going to use the order date rather than the creation date because I keep changing the order date on these. I can't change the creation date. So I'm going to create my filter, go to advanced search, and go to the time filter again. And this time I'm going to choose order date and the date range. And then click search. So I will see that for 2021, I have $503,000 and I have a total of 147 sales. Okay, so that is there, and currently they are sorted in descending order. So they're starting with December going backwards. If I click again, they're going forward from January forward. Okay. So I know that I should get a total of 503,000 and I should have 147 records in my report. Go to reports, new report, sales module. Now you will notice here, we've got sales and sales details, quotations, quotation details, and opportunities details, and the invoice. The difference is if you choose the details, then you're able to get to the actual product information. If you use the products and services tab and pull products in from your price book, then in a report, you would be able to pull that item information into the report. In this case, we just want sales. We don't need the product details. But you may want that. You may want to see, maybe you want to group by the item and see, well, how many of a certain item did we sell? So, start thinking all these ways. These reports are simple, but they also can give you a lot of information. So this time we're going to do a time-based report. And we're going to choose our columns. So again, we want the order date. Now, one of the things you can do over here, some of you may or may not know this, I can click here, and if I hold the control key down and then click on the next field that I want, and then I want the sales rep. Now, where you have to be careful is you need to let go of the control key before you scroll, because if you scroll with your mouse while you're holding the control, you'll do the magnification and demagnification of the screen. So I tend to just pick one at a time. And then I want to see the subtotal. So I can do all of them at one time and kick them over there. Okay. And I do want my order date at the top because I'm going to group by that. Again, if you wanted to bring territory over or industry type, you would, want to make sure that data is complete in all the records so you're getting accurate reporting out. Okay. So we've done that. We're going to group by the month. Okay. And here we do have a numeric field in the form of the subtotal. So I can say, well, I want to see a sum per group, and maybe I want to see an average sale amount per month. Okay. And then this will also tell me how many records there were. And I go to the summary and I now can get a grand total. And this would be the average of all the sales for the year, for the whole year. What was the average sale size? Then I can go to filter criteria. And we're doing our order date. And we are doing our fixed date range. Now, just remember, this is the only time I'm going to tell you to use a fixed date range. This is the end of the year. The rest of the time, I will tell you to use this 1 month or whatever. Okay. All right. Then we're going to save this. Oh, let's see. I'll just say monthly sales. Okay. And we get our report here. And you can see it's grouping by the month, January, February, March, so on and so forth. So let's download this to Excel. And we have our report. So we can see January 2021, we had 16 sales, and down here it was a $33,000, and the average sale was $2,000, which makes sense. So you come down through all your months, and at the bottom, you have your grand total of 443,000, and the average sale per month was 3,000. No, yeah, that's right. The average sale just for the whole year was 3,000. Okay. So that's, again, very easy to create, but you're getting some numeric figures because you're pulling in numeric fields. So whenever you pull in any kind of a numeric data field, you can get these subtotals and totals for each numeric field that you pull in. Okay. So those are reports. Hopefully you've got some ideas now of things you would like to do. One more thing to mention here. The reports in ClaritySoft. For example, you could create a monthly sales report that's a year-to-date one for, as you're progressing through the year. And then you could schedule it to run every month and email to sales managers, whoever. And so, for example, I have one here, opportunities by stage year to date. Okay. So this one, let's just run it. So we're getting our opportunities that we have that are active opportunities grouped by the stage. And it's running year to date. Now this is going to go until December 31st, and then it will clear itself out and start over again in 2022. But this is what we have so far. Okay. Now, so this report each month, if you scheduled it, and it is already scheduled. Oops, where'd it go? Down here. You'll see the little clock there means it's scheduled. But when you want to schedule a report, you simply go to the left of the name and you'll see the word schedule. Then you can choose how often do you want this to send, daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly. Okay, so I have this one scheduled to go once a month. Repeat every 1 month, or you could do it every 2 or 3 months. It could become a quarterly report if you did it every 3 months. Okay. And then you start it on a date that makes sense. So I started this on 5/25/2020. Okay. Never ends, or you can have it end after so many occurrences or on a specific date. And then you can choose what report format do you want, PDF, Excel, or CSV. And then in this window here, you would type in the email address or addresses of the people who should receive it. And then once you save that, every month, that report is going to auto-generate itself and email itself to the people listed here. So if there's, even like weekly activity reports that you might want your team to do, or weekly opportunity reports, they can set it up and it can be scheduled, and then it can be emailed to the appropriate people. And all the team has to do then is just worry about keeping their data accurate in the opportunities or the activities, because they don't have to generate the report anymore themselves. It just goes and it's done. And they can even be one of the email recipients, have it sent to themselves. So that's a nice way to set up reports and make reporting a lot easier for your team to do and have them run automatically. And then the only responsibility at that point is to keep the data accurate, which sort of helps get people to do that. All right, so that's reports. Let's move to dashboards. Dashboards in Excel, in ClaritySoft mean charts, okay? And if you've not been to the dashboards module, or maybe you have been to the dashboards module and you come here and you see nothing. So the first thing you can do is come over here to the vertical ellipsis button, and click on it and then go to settings. And then you see different pre-built charts or dashboards. Now I have a lot more than you're going to see because I've built so many. But you can kind of go down through and click in a checkbox, and then it's going to pull data from your database. So this one is pulling information in for all the activities by the type of activity. Now this is pulling in everything. This is not restricted in any way by dates or anything. So if you have a lot of activities in your database, it could take a while for that to populate. You might want to check your activities first before you do that. Here's one, activities by type last month. I'm going to assume, oh, I do have a few. Okay, so I have some for last month. So you can put the timestamps on these. So these are all here. You can save these, and then you can have in this module, you may have up to 8 different charts showing, and the same charts are available to you on the home screen, where you may have up to 4. So these are nice to have. They give you a quick view. Here's leads by owner year to date, which isn't showing us anything for some reason. Okay, so I don't know why that one's not working. But anyway, that would be a graph, a chart equivalent to the report we just created. So that one I might need to trash and redo. Okay, so we're going to create a dashboard to show the sales by rep and in a percentage. Okay, so what percent per rep of the total sales? So to create a new dashboard, you click on the button, and it's similar to the report. You have these tabs up here, and you just kind of go across and select the options for each one to build your chart. The first one, being the most important, is the data series. First of all, where is your data coming from? We're pulling it from the sales module, okay? Then we have our value properties, which is the y-axis, the vertical axis, and we have the argument properties, which is the x-axis or the horizontal axis. All right. So what we want here is a function, and the function that we want is the sum of, okay? Most of the time, you're either going to do the sum of or the count of. In this case, we want the sum of the subtotal. And just so you understand, the difference between the subtotal and the total is the subtotal does not include tax or shipping and handling. It's just the straight product price. So that's probably what you want almost all the time. So you'll choose your subtotal. So the y-axis is going to represent a sum of the subtotal for each. And in the sales module, the owner is equal to the sale rep, or the sale rep is equal to the owner, okay? So we're trying to get the total sales per sale rep is what we're doing, okay? And here on the scale type, I want to change this to percent. I could do it this way and just show the total values per person, but I just thought I'd show you how you can do it as a percent, okay? And then down here, we don't need to change anything on the scale type. The scale type here is if you have very, very, large numbers here, you can have it calculate in thousands, millions, or billions if you have very, very large numbers. So these things don't get really huge here. All right. And then I'm going to tell it to ignore empty. Then I come up here and I want to choose my chart type. This chart would be better served to be a pie chart. Okay. And then you have enable labels, which means there will be labels that will be on the pie, which we want. The select top, if I choose this, I can select the top 5 records, 10, 15, 20. You might want to have the top 5 sales or the top 10 sales, okay, for something. So that is available to you to use if you turn it on. And the chart title is your name of your chart. So again, I want to lock it into 2021 so I know. And I'm putting the word value here just because I know I have another dashboard with a similar name. So I'm trying to make it different. And then if you want a subtitle, you can do it here. We don't need to name the X and Y axis because we don't have one. Legend, when you click on this, first of all, we definitely want a legend for a pie chart, or we won't know what all those colors represent. Then you can choose, well, where do you place the legend? How do you want it? Do you want it in a horizontal format, straight across? Do you want it vertical? You know, how do you want this thing placed? And I'm not quite sure why we're not, there it is. Okay. So there's our legend. And then if you do vertical, it's over here to the side. Let me do this. I magnified my screen a little while ago and I shouldn't have. So now you can see it. Okay. Then we have, you can change whether you want it at the top or the bottom. So all these different things you can change the placement. Do you want it on the right? Do you want it in the center, which looks crazy? Do you want it on the left? Where do you want your legend? What's easiest? And then you can change the color. If you want to put a background color behind it, you can put a border around it. So all these things you can format your legend whatever way you want, okay? So I can turn on a border and then I can choose a color for the border. I'll choose this crazy bright green, okay? And then tooltip, this lets you, when you point to one of the pieces of the pie, the tooltip will pop up for the value of it. So again, just to show you, do that. Appearance. This allows you to choose what color scheme you might want. So if I change my color scheme, you can do that. So this is very similar if you've worked with charts in Excel. Same sort of things that you're doing. Don't like that one. Okay, I like the brighter colors. And then drill down. What this is for, if in the reports module, you have created a report that would show the detail that goes with this chart, then you can select the report. So what I'm going to do right here is my 2021 monthly sales. I could do that. Or I could go back and create another one, 2021 sales by rep, and it would give the total. But for just illustration purposes, I'll connect it to this. Okay. Then the data filter, again, what we want, we don't need a standard filter, but what we want is the time filter again. And so this would be the order date. And again, lock it in January 1 to, whoops, December 31. Okay. And then we come down and save. Now, when you click save, this is going to save the chart with the name that you put on the chart title tab. If you don't want that name, then you choose Save As and give it a name, okay? So I'm just going to click Save because I'm fine with that name. And now I have my chart. Okay, so here's my legend over here, all formatted the way I want. And I can change this. There's two views here. This is doing side-by-side ones. That's tile view. If I click on list view, it puts the chart one per row, gives you a little bit more space. Doesn't really make it that much bigger, but that's there. Then over here, when you're pointing to a chart, you'll see buttons come on and off. So this is your edit. If you need to change something, this is delete. This is your drill down button. So when I click on this, it runs that sales report that we just created, and I can view it. So I can go download it to Excel and I can view it. So that's what the drill down does for you. So you can create the corresponding report in the reports module. Then this allows you to print it. And this is just a refresh to refresh the data. So you can create as many charts as you want and save them. And then you choose from your settings here what ones you want to show. Okay, so that's how to create your different dashboards. And you can see they're very similar to reports in how you create them. Okay, now the important one of the day, Excel reports. So Excel reports, very similar kind of screen layout. There are certain reports that we've built in for you that you can run and view and kind of observe to see what they're like. And then you can create new folders. Right here is a new folder button, so you can create your own folder and then you can put your reports into your folder. Okay, these are the default ones right here. Okay. We tried to make them as generic as possible, so no matter how your database is set up, those reports will work. So anyway, all right, so to create a new Excel report, and you guys, if you're not taking notes, may want to jot some notes down here because our knowledge base, the directions on our knowledge base are not real clear. They get you to a certain point and then it's kind of like, now what do I do? So you may want to jot a few notes down, even though this is being recorded, so you can come back to it. But to create a new report, you click on New Excel Report. And up front here, unlike the other reports, you do need to choose, well, where are you going to save it? I'm going to save it here. So you want to create your folder first, and notice you can create it if you forgot. And then you're going to give your report a name. So up front, it's asking for this information. Okay, now I made a mistake here, guys. I didn't go back to the opportunities module first and run the filter there, which we should do. We should go back to opportunities, run the filter for all the one opportunities for 2021. But I'm assuming you will know how to do that at this point. So once we've typed in our title, we click Save. And then it's asking us, well, what is the source? Source is what module are you pulling the data from? And we're going to do opportunities. Then you have to give the source sheet that's going to be in the Excel template file a name. So you could call this opportunities, or you could call it one. Whatever makes sense to you, okay? And then you save it. Then you have to tell it, okay, what data do you want to pull from the database to pull into the source sheet? So we're going to do account. We want the close date because we need that the close date is going to be 2021. We want the owner field because that is how we want to group it. Okay. We want the amount, so we want the total value. And then I'm going to bring in the product field and the opportunity if you're using it or haven't changed it. In my database is the one that says new business or add-on business. I'm going to pull that in. Again, you could also pull in any custom category type fields such as territory or industry type, any of those that you would want to maybe see, well, how much money did we bring in per territory? How much money did we bring in per industry type? So really take a look at your different custom fields, or type of opportunity is if you categorize your opportunities by commercial versus residential or whatever, whatever works in your database. Okay. So you pull in the fields just like we did before. And then here you say, how do you want to sort the columns? And we are going to sort the columns first by the owner and second by the close date. Then we go to the filter criteria tab, and we're going to do two things here. We first of all want the close date to be January 1 through December 31. Okay. And then we also want only those opportunities that were won. Okay, that we actually won. So we want to set the stage to, and I like to use contains rather than equals. It's a little looser. And then you'd want to know what is the stage that you use that's equivalent to winning the sale. Mine is 1. Yours could be award, contract awarded or something like that. So you want to check that out first. So we're going to have the range for the close date of 2021 and the stage of being winning in the opportunity. Okay. Then we click save. Now, with an Excel report, we're back here at the source. If I want to add a second source sheet, I can. I can click here and I could say, well, I want to pull from another module. Maybe I want to pull from leads. Maybe I want to pull from accounts. You can pull from any number. You can create as many source sheets that you want that have data that maybe at some point you want to kind of merge together or create multiple pivot tables, pivot charts where you pull it all together in one spot. You can do this. And I'm sure some of you that are into Excel are starting to say, oh, this looks like fun. And others of you are going, oh dear. So I'm only going to do this one, but just be aware you can add as many additional source sheets that you want. And then each source you point to creates another sheet in the workbook with the data that you're pulling from the database. And then you can go in and add all the formulas and everything that pull it all together. Okay, so I'm done here and I'm going to click the back button. And now I'm back to my report. This is where you have to take notes, okay? Because this is where the notes in the knowledge base get a little blurry. What we have to do now is come over here, click on the row action button, and download the template. So we get our template file here. And we enable the editing and we enable the content. Up at the top in the name, you see the word template, and that's what you want to see. Then down here, you're saying, well, this is lovely. It's a blank page. But if you look down at your sheets, you're on sheet 1. You do not ever want to delete sheet 1. That's where you're going to build a lot of stuff. And then on the one opportunities source sheet that you said for it to create, that's where your data is. But you look here and there's no data. And this is okay. This is the template that you're going to build from. So just leave this sit here for right now. Okay, don't go away. I'm going to shove it over here to the right for a minute. Then you're going to go back to your report and you're going to just simply click on it to run it. Now it's over on my other screen. Pull this over here. And again, enable editing, enable content. You're going to have the same layout, sheet 1 blank, but on the one opportunities, you have the list. So you'd want to check that your data looks correct. Okay. Now, this is not a template. Notice up here, it's simply a macro Excel file, but this has some data in it. And we need to, what we want to do is put some sample temporary data into the template file. So you then can do what you want to do and test it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this, copy it. And then basically I don't need this anymore. And I'm going to come back over here to my template file. And clicking, I don't want to wipe out this sum text data. I want to go on the row below and paste my sample data. Okay, so that's where the directions in the knowledge base are not clear. So now we have something to work with. I can now go back to sheet 1 and I would like to add a pivot chart and pivot table to calculate or show me the sales by sales rep. Okay, so I'm going to go to Insert, Pivot Chart, and Pivot Table. Then we have to pick a range. So we click on our sheet where the data is, and you're going to include the headings. And you go down. Now I'm holding my shift key down to do this while I hit the arrow keys in case you wonder how I'm doing this without my mouse. Now, this is the end of the year, so all of your records should be complete. But if you were creating this for the, somewhere in the middle of the year, and you don't, you're at 72 records now, but by the end of the year, you could have 150, you could have 2,000. Who knows how many? So in this range, what you want to do, if this is a going through year to date kind of thing, you want to select rows down as far as you think you would, eventually get data filling in, because once it goes outside the range, then your pivot chart is not going to be accurate. And I think most of you probably know that. So you click OK. And then I come over here and I want to choose owner and amount, and then my table and my chart start to build themselves. And I'm going to leave this sit here for now so it's easier to see. And then you begin to do your formatting. Now, because I chose all those blank rows, I have a blank option here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go here, go down, and uncheck blank. So we no longer see that in the chart or in the table. The second thing the number formatting, I've tried doing global formatting to change this, but it's somehow every time you create a new chart, it goes back to it. So I've just done it locally with the number formatting. Maybe somebody else knows a better trick. I can't say I'm the pivot chart expert here. So I've got that formatted. Then on your chart itself, you can come over and there's a little plus sign here, and I don't need a legend. So I can turn off the legend. I can put data labels that would be at the top of the columns for the amounts of each salesperson, or I can put a data table underneath each person, whatever you prefer. So you can turn on the things you want and don't want. Here, you can choose a style of chart. So if you think something like that looks nice, you can do that. And then you can change the color. You know, let's see, this just changes it to red. So you can, you can play with that. Again, if you're familiar with Excel and pivot charts, you know how to do all these things, but just for those that don't, it's here. And likewise, I can come here. I don't want to see sum of amount, so I might want to put opportunity, maybe totals or something like that. And here I could put sale rep. Okay. And you can also format this by clicking on it. And then you can come up here to design and click this and scroll down. I've been using this one. So you can format these any way that you like. Okay. And you get, you get it all set up. The other thing I like to do in the background is go to view and uncheck grid lines so you have a nice clean background. So I've got one pivot chart here set up, and I can put a total in here or a title. Trying to hurry. Oops, let's make it. Okay. So I've got one done here. Now, because I brought in this product information, I could create another pivot chart that shows me the difference between my new business and my add-on business. I could create a third one showing by territory. So with just this data that I've pulled in, I could create 3 pivot charts, all right? And you can then begin to see, if I had different source sheets, if I pulled in the leads from 2021, then I could see all the new leads grouped by the owner in a pivot chart. I could see all the leads grouped by the territory or the industry. And you could have a whole page full on this sheet 1 of different pivot charts that you would want people to see. One of the things you can do too is you can take this, I keep grabbing the wrong part of the chart, and slide it over the top of its table, because you see all the information right here. You don't need to see the table underneath necessarily, okay? So if I now wanted to create that other one, I can go to Insert, Pivot Chart, and Pivot Table, do my range. And again, you want to make sure you include the headings because it needs to know the headings for the data. And then go down, like I said, in this case, you don't need to go down too far past unless you're doing this in advance of December 31. And then this time I want to choose product and amount. I'll turn off my blanks. And then Move this here for a moment. Let's move this over. And you'll see that some text data in there, just ignore that. That is going to go away. You don't need to worry about it. Let's see. So we can turn off the legend. We can turn on the data table at the bottom. We can do the same kind of background. Oops. And if we wanted to change the colors, so, you know, you can format things differently. You can make each chart a different color, whatever way you want to do it. I'll just say, instead of typing the full word opportunity, I think I put total before. Okay. And then this is I'll just call this category. And you could format that. So you've got that. Oh, and then the numbers. I do this the old way. All right. So I've got that one, and then I could give it a name. See, 2021 ops by new versus add-on. Okay, so you can see that. All right, then I'm going to shove this up here, size it, good to go. Now, I have to save this template. Before I save the template, however, I want to go back to my data sheet and I want to remove my sample data. Don't delete the sum text data. Just delete the sample data. And when I go back to here, notice it still says sum text data because that's still there, but it blanks everything out. Now you're going to save your template where you want to save it. I've got one folder on my computer where it goes. And it's right here. Oop, that's not it. Okay, this is going to be, there it is down here, 2021 opportunities one by rep template. Save it. Okay, then you can close it. That takes you back to your Excel reports. Get rid of this. And what I now need to do, this is the report. I need to upload it. So I'm going to click on the row action button and click on upload template. I click on the template I just saved. Open it, it'll say save successfully. And now I'm ready to run the report. So when I run the report, you have to enable the editing, enable the content, and there you go. Your template is there, your data is here that pulled in, and if you had multiple sheets, all the data would pull into those multiple sheets, and all of the pivot charts or whatever you did will display the data, okay? You can put in all kinds of formulas like sum ifs and stuff like that. So like I said, you're only limited by your Excel skills. And I have run over, I didn't intend to do this, but let me go back, get you guys out of here. So first of all, thanks for coming. I hope you got some ideas for how to do some reports, not only year end, but throughout the rest of the year and build in ClaritySoft. If you need any help with anything, then call our support team at 888-838-7487, extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com. They're probably the best resource on this. They do some work in the Excel reports and designing them, so they're a good place to go. Linda and I can help you if you're in Quick Start, but only to a point, all right? And if you have any new ideas for new things for the new year, info@claritysoft.com. And thanks, and have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you in 2022.